Thanks for being here. This is Truthseekers with your host, Stephen Cambion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truthseekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat group during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truthseekers. Truthseekers.
Well, greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. We are back again looking at 2 of my favorite and most ridiculous stories involving UFOs and aliens in recent years. And that would be the Dave Grush story. For those unaware, Dave Grush is an alleged UFO whistleblower who went to Congress and talked about alien bodies and spaceships that were retrieved during crash retrieval operations. Unfortunately, it has now been, count them, 105 days and still 0 evidence from a so-called UFO whistleblower. I'm here to tell you, friends, whistleblowers say things. They have evidence to provide. They break NDAs, they break security oaths, they break classifications, and they blow the whistle. So far, all we're sure that Dave Grush has done is secured himself documentary film deals and wants to be a thought leader in this space. Mostly, he has shared discredited information from various internet sources, which leads at least one reasonably skeptical, to ask the question, if he has all these high-ranking classifications and he's been in intelligence for so long and he knows all these people that know where the bodies are, why can't he give us any evidence? Well, tonight, courtesy of some FOIA requests from John Greenwald Jr. of the Black Vault, we get to sort of peel back another layer of deception. You know how Grush has been making excuses for why he can't give specifics and claiming things are classified? Turns out that's completely and totally false. According to recent revelations from DOPSR, for those unaware, if you have high-ranking security clearances, if you work for the United States government, and then you want to go public and talk about different subjects, you need to be cleared by the Pentagon Office of Pre-Publication. I knew this would happen eventually. I'm kind of, my head is spinning by how quickly the Grush story is collapsing. You know, there have been other so-called whistleblowers that came forward with their groundbreaking, world-changing revelations of aliens, but usually it takes years before we find out that they are full of it. In this case, it seems like just a few months, right? 3 or more months. We're up to 105 days with absolutely, positively, friends, no evidence presented so far. Which begs the question, what kind of a whistleblower has no evidence for 105 days? And in my view, that would be a fake whistleblower. And that's my opinion. And until I'm proven otherwise by things like actual evidence, I'm going to continue to believe that. Now, friends, we will begin tonight's presentation by welcoming all those in the live chats. For those unaware, there's many places that you can participate in our live broadcasts and live chats. You can be in the Twitch chat, the Rumble chat, the Facebook chat. You can leave comments on our Facebook live feeds as well as our Twitter live feeds. And there's also a chat room in our new distribution partner, pill.net, which you can participate. Only some of those chat messages get to me. Many are aggregated, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. However, some are not, but we'll be checking in with all the live chats. I see we have excellent attendance already. The room is filling up. So we're going to begin tonight's presentation. I was going to begin with the alien mummies, but that one's going to be a little bit longer. And I know that many of you are here to get the breakdown of the tremendous collapsing of the Grush narrative. Grush is crushed unless he puts up some major evidence. And I mean, he has to put up, to my understanding, or really, in my opinion, I should say, the only way that the Grush narrative is going to be saved is if Ross Coulthart, Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, and Dave Grush, Leslie Keane, Blumenthal, everybody that has been involved in selling this narrative, they have to put up the evidence. It's put up or shut up time. We're 105 days in. Where are the alien bodies? Where's the alien spaceships? Where's the 40 witnesses that Grush interviewed that told him all this stuff? Or is this all just a carefully constructed narrative? I know what I believe, but let me know what you think in the live chat, in the comments below. I think that the story is collapsing in record time for Conspiracy Land. Like I said, usually you need these guys grift on their stories for years before it becomes apparent, even to true believers, that they don't have any evidence. Well, it appears that a man calling himself a UFO whistleblower has no evidence. It's been 105 days. And listen, a serious question for the true believers. You know, no harm, no foul, no hard feelings. And I have nothing against you people who truly and desperately want to believe that this man is the UFO messiah you've been waiting for. But We're at 105 days. How long are you going to wait with zero evidence before you two wake up and say, maybe he doesn't have any evidence? Are we going to wait 205 days, 305 days, 365 days? Are we going to wait a year? We're more than 3 months in. There's no evidence. And let's be clear, 3 months is a long time, right? 3 months is a season. It's like the entire summer. No evidence. If you go an entire season on planet Earth and you don't produce evidence, then I think it's pretty clear you might not have any. And like I said, the only way that they're going to save this story and save this narrative is if they give us all the information they promised us at the beginning. Remember, he was supposed to name program names, name locations of where these alien technologies and bodies and biologicals are being stored. He's got to bring forth Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know about the technical hiccup. I just wrote in the live chat, stand by. That's weird. We're going to go over some of this stuff, but we're going to begin today with, whistleblower, alleged whistleblower, fake whistleblower, Dave Grush issued a challenge to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is always very skeptical, and I guess he gets on the nerves of the true believers, Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he, is a scientist and he asks for things like evidence. We're going to put our fair use banner up here. There we have Ryan Graves. He loved those alien mummies. He thought that was the greatest proof he's ever seen. Very credible guy, Ryan Graves, hanging out with Jaime Maussan. But let's put our fair use banner up. After all, this is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We're critiquing the video that we are sharing. This is therefore covered under fair use. This is the unedited version of Dave Grush challenging Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I was surprised and delighted to see that Mr. Tyson actually answered that challenge. And boy, these people are going to have a hard time pushing this story with no evidence pretty soon, because we've got everybody demanding evidence from him now. What's he going to say? What excuses can he offer?
I don't like throwing shade, but like Neil deGrasse Tyson, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's made up his mind. I've read his tweets, and I'm like, dude, you have a PhD in physics. Where's your curiosity? I can't even believe you're the big scientific communicator. Well, I think you should probably retire.
It's
just
smug.
It's just ridiculous.
It's smug, and it's I know everything. And it's I went to this elite university, so I have the credentials to like tell you what you should think. And
yeah, this is interesting. So this is the unedited one, which is a little more, I would say, kind of nasty to Mr. Tyson, right?
instead of exploring these kind of really exciting open-ended questions.
Should we count how many times he said that the universe was 13.8 billion years old and just be like, you were wrong every single time?
Credentialism, and it's like, well, I have credentials too, and I'm happy to go toe-to-toe with you. If he wants to debate me, I'd be fine.
Let's do it.
Gary Nolan and I will debate Tyson. Who's that other, Brian Cox? Bring it. Bring it. I don't like throwing shade.
So he wants to have a debate with Neil deGrasse Tyson. But there's a big problem with that, and that is that Neil deGrasse Tyson is a scientist, and he requires evidence. So, it's pretty interesting. 1 second here. Let me find the other video that I have to share, which is the response video from Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I thought this was interesting because now we've got Bill Nelson from NASA demanding that Grush show his evidence. And now we're going to see that Mr. Tyson is also demanding that Mr. Grush show his evidence. And they were both pretty forceful in their demands. Just the facts. Show me the evidence, right? And this is from Breaking Points. And it's nice to see them still recovering from this Grush story. Isn't it nice to see how quickly they pivoted to being skeptical after 105 days with no evidence? Because they were all chips in on this could be real, and they attacked the journalists that did real journalism, showing us that Dave Grush was a mental patient.
It makes no point to debate someone who's talking about classified information that nobody else can see. That's not, so what needs to happen is it needs to release the information.
Yes.
We did that in the Apollo era. We got moon rocks, brought it back, shared the rocks with the world so everybody can investigate it and evaluate it. So if you have a result, the way science arrives at objective truth is not by debate, which politicians like doing. And by the way, I've never seen a debate ever where one person says, you convinced me, I agree. Let's go.
Never
It's
happened.
on the show sometimes.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes here.
We
But
try to do
I
a little
think
bit of that here.
So my quick point is that all he has to do is release it for independent analysis. And in science, an objective truth is established by
that's not going to happen.
multiple verifications of a claim. And eyewitness testimony, sworn testimony, is irrelevant to science. We don't care what you saw.
I would tend to agree.
What you say you saw. We care a little bit. We'll make a note of it. But in the end, if I want to declare that what you said you saw, or what you did see, is objectively true, other people have to verify it.
Yes.
And bring it forward. And the aliens in Mexico, where they rolled them out, great. That's a start. I love it. Okay, you saw the pictures. I love it. Okay,
Yes.
so now you verify whether this is true or a hoax. Allow others to study your 3-foot-tall alien bodies.
Yeah,
Okay?
that look exactly
When
like ET.
multiple labs, especially skeptical labs, study it and find out, hey, there's something here. Bada bing. We got 2 aliens that were hanging out 2,000 years ago. By the way, your nose is just an empty cavity into your skull. And so old mummies and things don't have noses. These aliens were bones the whole rest of the body, but they had a nose.
Curious.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
What? How do you keep a nose?
Oh, no.
It was an alien, so maybe there's a bone in its nose.
Yeah,
But
maybe
it's
they got a
got
different thing going on.
All right.
hips, ribs, a femur, skull. So anyhow, fingers. Okay, I have 3 fingers. Therefore, it's alien. Okay, so I'm looking for. I love it. I love it. Now release it to the world.
Yeah, release it to the world. Why will David Grush not release any evidence of his fantastical claims to the rest of the world? I think it's extremely troubling. And one can only speculate that the man has no evidence, because it's been 105 days so far. And he has not only has he not shown any evidence, but he has provably lied several times. After all, he was asked if he had any mental problems, right? And he basically said no. He didn't have any mental problems. Now, supporters of Grush want to use his post-traumatic stress disorder as an excuse for why you're not allowed to ask him questions. How dare you question a war hero? By the way, I'm aware that a person calling himself Local 556 has made a video. So all you people that got so pissed off at me about what I said about post-traumatic stress, there's a real combat veteran out there that kind of agrees with me, and also broke down that people keep promoting Dave Grush as a combat war hero, a decorated war hero, which is extremely problematic, First of all, he was an Air Force intelligence officer, and I'm not saying he didn't see any action, but it's extremely rare for an intelligence officer, especially an Air Force intelligence officer, to actually see action. And there's multiple stories about where he got his PTSD. Apparently, according to him, he got it from both his time in Afghanistan and from a friend committing suicide. You know, I was talking about my own personal experience with friends or loved ones, people close to me committing suicide. I didn't experience post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm not denying that he has it, but why is there all these stories floating around concerning his post-traumatic stress disorder? And remember, post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental condition. So did he lie in this following clip?
Maybe he's just a confident, well-spoken, ex-military intelligence officer who just happens to have lost his mind. Do you have any kind of mental illness?
No.
Have you ever had a psychosis, a delusion?
No.
Is there anything in your medical history that might be capable of being interpreted as a reason why you might be confabulating, making things up? Do you have any kind of mental illness?
No.
There we have it. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a form of mental illness. Did he lie there? And why did News Nation cut that portion of the interview out of the interview? At least last I checked, it appears that they have cut that portion of the interview out of the original interview. Do they not want people knowing that he lied when directly asked if he had any mental problems? After all, I would think that if you were locked in a mental institution, you know, you might pause before answering no to the question, did you ever have any mental problems? Extremely problematic. And now we get to the meat of things, friends, because I'm glad that John Greenwald Jr. is out there at the Black Vault. He has pried more information from the government than anyone on Earth, apparently. And so in a recent article on his website, theblackvault.com, I'll provide links in the description of this video to our sources here. Newly released documents shed light on UFO whistleblower David Grush Dobson review. For those, again, just to be crystal clear, for those that may not be familiar, he had to be cleared by the Pentagon in a pre-publication review to talk about the things that he wanted to say. So this article in the Black Vault goes on to state, in a recent release of documents obtained via FOIA case number, and he gives the case number, new information has surfaced surrounding the media nicknamed, quote, UFO whistleblower, unquote. And I'm glad they quoted that, because he doesn't meet the legal, the technical, or even the dictionary definition of a whistleblower, because he has no information to share other than stories other people told him. David Grush, who is claimed to have knowledge regarding non-human intelligence, believed by many to refer to extraterrestrial beings, had made headlines with his story. Yet a crucial piece of the puzzle seemed elusive: his Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security review submission that he and the media often references. The Black Vault has extensively highlighted the absence of Grush's actual approved Dobster submission. While Grush remained tight-lipped, a FOIA request filed by the Black Vault has now shed light on the matter from the Department of Defense's end. Although the recent release still leaves many questions unanswered due to significant redactions, it does provide a more comprehensive picture of how everything went down. From the documents, it's evident that Grush submitted 2 Dobson requests for review. The first, an interview question submission, was sent on March 7, 2023. His second, a future interview question submission, was sent less than a month later on April 5th. So he sent the first one March 7th and the second one April 5th. And then you'll recall via our reporting here, on the week of May 15th, he was meeting with a Canadian member of Parliament and telling them the same stories that before he'd ever become a public figure. So he was having private meetings with members of the Canadian government for some reason on May 15th. And also through that reporting, we found out that Mr. Grush had a documentary film deal in place as of the week of May 15th. The Black Vault article goes on to say both submissions received approval on April 4th, 2023 and April 6th, respectively. Strangely, the response to Grush's interview questions, the most awaited details, were redacted under exemption B6, shielding them from the public eye. This exemption, as stated in the FOIA response letter, protects information that would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy of individuals. So it's pretty unclear. I don't understand this, but apparently he's cleared to talk about this, but we can't see it in the document. And really, really problematic. The whole thing is really problematic. The internal correspondence within the DoD also adds a bit to the story. Security review specialist Michelle Wiggum expressed concerns regarding vague references made by Grush about certain sensitive areas. Her apprehension was clear in this message to her colleague, Don Kluzik, where she stated, although he does not divulge specific sensitive information, the author makes reference to sensitive areas. I just wanted you to review. Kluzik stated in his response, vague references to sensitive areas like this are not a problem. If there had been something more substantial, even further review would have been necessary. So, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. We got to call bull on Grush's narrative, because we were told by the people selling this story that he knows the names of the locations. He knows the locations where the alien bodies were being stored, or he knows the locations where these alien crash retrieved spaceships were being back engineered. He knows the names of the people working on the programs. He knows this, he knows that. Well, according to Dopser, he's giving vague references and nothing specific. So why wouldn't he fill out the Dopser and put in there the specifics that we were told he would give us, like the names of program names, like the locations? And I know we'll hear more excuses. All we're getting out of the Grush supporter camp is excuses for why he can't tell us things that everybody selling the story told us from the beginning, and even 6 months beforehand, as they hyped this story up in the background, that he would tell us. It's just extremely. So vague references to sensitive areas like this are not a problem. If there had been something more substantial, even further review would have been necessary. So in the Dopser review, at least, he's not naming program names. He's not naming the names of people working on the programs, because wouldn't that be classified and not cleared for review? He's not naming the location where the alien technology is being stored, because wouldn't that be classified? I would think so. With answers being redacted in the Dopser paperwork that Grush wrote for approval, it is only a guess on what vague references and locations they are referring to. The release documents beg a more significant question. If the DoD was provided a portion of the material, albeit redacted, why hasn't Grush shown his requests in full? Yeah, and by the way, it's perfectly his right to show the Dopser release documents. So far, he won't show that. So much for transparency. All of you disclosure dorks, right? I know that Grush gave you a huge, monstrous disclosure boner, and you love this guy, but don't you guys want transparency? That's what you're always saying. You want transparency from the government about the UAP UFO issue. Well, what about the talking heads that sell the alien and UFO stories? Shouldn't they be equally transparent? Somehow he gets a pass from the disclosure dorks. They're too busy concentrating on their disclosure boners, which are slowly going soft. The disclosure boner from Grush is slowly fading away. I'm not so sorry to say. All right. The article goes on to say, the release documents beg a more significant question. If the DoD provided a portion of the material, albeit redacted, why hasn't Grush shown his requests in full? He can show these documents. He won't. Such transparency would only bolster his credibility. But by the email exchange above within Dopster, it seemed like nothing was of detailed note that caused any concern whatsoever, except for, quote, vague, unquote, references to facilities which were no problem to them. What else was in the requests? To date, although Grush's Dobson material was referenced in each of the news interviews and at the UAP hearing, it is yet to be released by Grush despite being fully cleared for open publication. That's what open publication means. He can publish it. Why won't he publish the document? There's things in this document he doesn't want people to know. And apparently, this is the letter. This is John's letter here about the FOIA requests that he made. And I'm told through his Twitter, pardon me, John from the Black Vault, since this is all cleared for publication, is going to be appealing their decision to redact portions of these documents. So it's interesting. This paperwork is approved for public release. However, this approval does not include any photograph, picture, exhibit, caption, or other supplemental material not specifically approved by this office. So he can say whatever he wants to say, according to them, right? I guess. This is just ridiculous. The whole story is ridiculous so far. And here we see that line again. Vague references to sensitive areas are not a problem. So if he knows exactly where the alien bodies are and exactly the location where the alien spaceships are being back engineered, why would he not say, "Oh, I want to say that"? Why? Why would he not request, include any specifics? Apparently, it would appear, friends, that he included no specifics in his DOPSA requests, just vague references. So what about all this talk that he knows exactly where they're doing the back engineering and he knows the program names and he talked to 40 people that worked on these alien spacecraft? Why couldn't you include any of that in the pre-publication approval process so that you could tell everybody where the aliens are, bro? Extremely, extremely problematic. And then, of course, we do get a look at what Grush filed, but it's a little bit confusing to me. I almost need a guide to go through it. And here, let me share my screen again so that we get this from John from the Black Vault. By the way, please do support blackvault.com. He does more to get information about these topics, and especially from the government, than anyone on earth. I think it's definitely worth supporting. I'm going to be sending him some support or joining his Patreon. He's doing a great job. John from the Black Vault says, I will absolutely be appealing all the redactions. However, in this case, I don't have high hopes. But all this could be easily remedied if Dave Grush just releases what so many have referenced now in news interviews and at the congressional hearing. Why doesn't he? So here we get interview question submissions. And these, I guess, are the questions that were both in the original article by Leslie Kane and or they may be referencing the Ross Coulthard interview. Question, can you expand a publicly unknown Cold War for recovered and exploited physical material that has been waged under the noise floor for decades? And then the answer that Grush was going to give, which has to be pre-approved, was redacted. Question, what recovered physical material are you referring to? What is the nature source of the material? When was it retrieved? And then he gives his answer. And these, I guess, would be the answers he's giving to the questions he's being asked in the News Nation interview. How many programs did you uncover? Are they still active today? Were you able to determine the specific individuals involved? You remember that Senator Harry Reid, this is another question, strongly suggested that they were all Lockheed Martin. He said in the New Yorker, I was told for decades that Lockheed had some of these retrieved materials. And I tried to get, as I recall, a classified approval by the Pentagon to have me go look at the stuff. They would not approve that. Answer redacted. Question, why were you so severely harassed? You must have something to do with the implications or the explosive nature of what you uncovered. It was a threat because of what it revealed. That's the question. Answer redacted. Question: what was the unfathomable and constitutional dilemma that you referred to? So this is pretty interesting. And John goes on to say, apparently he already gave these answers in his interviews. So why not show us what he cleared? And no, respectfully, it wouldn't blow this phenomenon wide open, but it would shed some light into what he asked for. Yeah. It's pretty interesting that he apparently already answered these questions, but he has so far refused to share the documents so that we could see what he told Dobser and how well it matched up to what he answered in these interviews. Very, very suspicious. And, it appears that the story is falling apart because we've got Bill Nelson from NASA, right? We've got Bill Nelson from NASA saying, show us the evidence, literally demanding to see the evidence that Grush claimed that he had, count them, 105 days ago. People asked Bill Nelson at the NASA hearing, do you believe Dave Grush? And what he said was, well, he said a lot of things. Where's the evidence? Where is the evidence? Show us the evidence. And what we get from Dave Grush and supporters of Dave Grush and from people selling the story, we get excuses for why Dave Grush can't answer the call from so many. We've got Bill Nelson of NASA saying, show me the evidence. We've got Neil deGrasse Tyson now saying, show me the evidence. No, I don't want to debate you because you're talking about things that you're making excuses for not showing the evidence for. Show us the evidence. We've got John from the Black Vault. Be transparent. Show us the Dobser document. I think it's getting clearer and clearer the longer this goes on and as demands for evidence. By the way, I would include myself in the list of people who are demanding evidence, not to put myself in the same category of the aforementioned, but we've been demanding evidence of his claims for 105 days now, since the very beginning. At what point do we just simply understand and comprehend that the man has no evidence to share? That's the only conclusion that I can draw so far. And one has to ask the question, how are you getting documentary film deals and huge media appearances? And how are all these other UFO grifters making all this money selling your stories when you haven't presented a single shred of evidence yet? It's 105 days in, friends. It's not really looking good. Not really looking good. So what I will say about the Grush situation is that your move, creep, like that RoboCop clip, your move, creep. You said you had all this evidence 105 days ago. Where's it at? Did you lose it? Did the aliens fly away? Where are the aliens, bro? I want to see proof of the alien. You said you knew where they were 105 days ago. You said you had 40 witnesses. Where are the 40 witnesses? What we get is excuses. What we've gotten for 105 days is excuses. And by the way, it gets worse and worse. The deeper you dig, the worse this gets. Because now we've got NASA also claiming, oh, come on. I guess I can't share that. Sorry, I'm not paying. NASA says no evidence of extraterrestrial origins. No evidence that UFOs have extraterrestrial origins, NASA finds. I'm sorry, I can't read you the article. I wasn't aware that was behind a paywall, or I wouldn't have put it in our queue to share with you. Yeah, 1 second. I have another thing to share with you that's pretty interesting. Also, so the ICIG, the Intelligence Community Inspector General, remember, we were told that Grush gave all of his evidence to the Inspector General of the United States, the intelligence community. And all of his evidence, he gave all of his evidence. And apparently the ICIG released a statement that you have to see to believe, because apparently even after Dave Grush gave all of his evidence to the ICIG, they're not investigating. And of course, what we have is we have Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett is now claiming a huge cover-up. And this is from The Hill. So the ICIG, so what happens is Tim Burchett says, okay, Dave Grush gave all his evidence to the ICIG. So he sends a letter to the ICIG asking for the evidence. And the ICIG comes back that we have no information to share with you. So who's lying here? Did Grush give all of his evidence to the ICIG? What's going on here? This is a big problem for the supporters of the Grush. If you got that Grush crush, if you have the Grush crush and you're trying to maintain your disclosure boner, you're going to have a real hard time when you read that letter. On Friday, Tim Burchett doubled down, and this is from The Hill, on claims of a Pentagon cover-up over information about UFOs, commonly dubbed unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Burchett requested that the Inspector General of the intelligence community investigate claims that military officials are withholding information from Congress about UAPs following a hearing last month. Inspector General Thomas A. Moynham responded Friday saying that there is no information to share. Ooh, this is going to probably be a problem. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was small. This is probably going to be a problem for you people with the Grush crush, with your disclosure boners hanging out. They told us that he gave all of his information to the ICIG. Of course, they also lied to us and essentially conflated two things, claiming that the Inspector General found his alien and UFO claims urgent and credible. That never happened. Show me a quote. It never happened. They conflated two things. They conflated his complaints of retaliation to the ICIG with his so-called evidence of alien crash retrievals and alien bodies and alien spaceships. And everybody just keeps using the words urgent and credible. The ICIG never found his alien claims urgent and credible. And we also have to take a moment to realize that people listened to 11 hours of this man's testimony. Then they went back to Tim Burchett and told Tim Burchett that he was not a reliable witness. Now, so we've got him lying about having a mental illness, right? We've got him lying by omission about having documentary film deals as of May 15th. They purposefully left out of the entire original story that he was a mental patient. They even asked him questions to try to, I guess, smoke screen so people wouldn't find out that he was a mental patient in his not so distant past. He's also said he gave all of his evidence and information to the ICIG. But when asked for the evidence, the ICIG saying that there is no information to share. And this is a quote from the ICIG. As a matter of discretion, ICIG notes that it has not conducted any audit, inspection, evaluation, or review of alleged UAP programs within the responsibility and authority of the DNI that would enable this office to provide a fulsome response to your questions, Moynham wrote. In the letter from Burchett specifically asked which officials or facilities were involved in the investigation of possible UAPs, and the Inspector General's reply did not provide those details. The ICIG office did nothing to look into the information they received from Dave Grush on UAP crash retrieval programs, Tim Burchett said on X, formerly Twitter, on Friday. They have no information they can give to Congress, and Tim Burchett claims there's a cover-up. Or could it just be that Grush didn't give them any actionable or investigatable information? Maybe, just maybe, that the critics of this whole entire false narrative like me, who've been saying that all he has is garbage that he got on the internet, and the government's not going to waste their time with old discredited stories, kind of like that Italian UFO hoax from 1933. But interestingly, the article goes on to state that the Tennessee Republican is among a group of half dozen members of Congress who had a hearing on UAPs in July, saying that additional information from military leaders is needed and that the government must be more transparent in communicating information about these objects. I don't believe it's fair to the American people to not be able to see information that absolutely has the ability to impact them directly, especially from a national security perspective, she said. The bipartisan group of lawmakers have requested a House subcommittee with subpoena power to force military officials to answer the group's questions. So here's the real problem. Grush, and I suppose the people selling this story, so far they've said he gave all of his information to the ICIG, even some people claiming it's classified. That's why he can't talk about it. Well, we've got the Dopser review. Doesn't look like there was anything classified that he put in the Dopser review. Doesn't look like he gave any actionable information or even information worth investigating to the Intelligence Community Inspector General. So what does that mean? That means that somebody's been lying to everyone this entire time that this story has been put out there. Oh, and can you hear it? The creaking. It sounds like creaking and cracking as the whole foundation that this deceptive story was built upon comes crumbling. It's about to come crumbling down. I think it's going to take a few more hits before this entire narrative will crumble before our very eyes. And like I said, the only thing they can do to save it right now is for him to release all the information he claimed that he had 105 days ago. Like a real whistleblower would, right? And we'd even forgive him if the information turned out to be real information. I'd forgive him for waiting for 105 days. And hey, from a whistleblower perspective, couldn't you just say, I gave it all to the ICIG. They didn't bother to investigate. I gave it to, the appropriate members of Congress in my 11 hours of testimony, and nobody bothered to investigate it. So now I'm just going to release it publicly, just like people like John from the Black Vault are demanding, just like people like Bill Nelson from NASA are demanding he do. And John from the Black Vault, me, Neil deGrasse Tyson, people want to see the evidence. And couldn't you make a case if you were a whistleblower? Like, hey, I tried to go through proper channels and nobody cared. So now I'm just going to drop it. Here's the proof, bitches. There's where the aliens are stored. There's who's working on the aliens. There's where the alien spaceships are. There's the proof, bitches. Here it is. Why wouldn't you do that? Couldn't a case be made that he had to do that because he tried to go through proper channels and nobody cared? I would think so. Or Dave Grush's so-called proof is garbage and has been since the start of this whole deception escapade that we've been on for 105 days now. The story is falling apart. It's falling apart because what did they do? How does the UFO scam work, friends? I've said it 100 times. I'll say it one more time for those who may be new to the channel. Step one in selling a fake UFO story, you have to overpromise, overhype the story in order to get people interested. You have to claim you have evidence. You have to say there's a floodgate of new information coming. Overpromise and underdeliver is the first rule of selling your fake alien grift or alien UFO story. Step two, it's very unfortunate, but after you've overhyped and overpromised for so long, then you finally release your story and, it turns out that you really underdelivered on your promises. And then inevitably, step three comes when the whole story, when it becomes crystal clear, even to people that truly wanted to believe the story, that you overpromised and you underdelivered. And now comes the stage we are entering, friends, the big letdown. When even true believers have to admit he had no evidence like he promised. He overpromised. They overhyped this story. They hyped it so much. How could you hype to the wazoo a story like this that has had so far zero evidence presented for 105 days? But this is where we're at, and this is where we find ourselves. And this story, like so many I have detailed before, follow that exact three-step pattern. Exactly so far. I would still hold off, and I have 1% of hope left that he may be telling the truth. He may really have the information that he claimed he had 105 days ago. But 99% of me thinks this is just another one of those. It's going to be another footnote in history, right? Like, you know, how we occasionally talk about past hoaxes and stories that all turned out to be fake, like Alien Autopsy or Bob Lazar or whatever. This will be just another one. Oh, yeah, remember that Dave Grush guy? Yeah, the alien body guy. Oh, he said he had all this evidence. He said he talked to all these witnesses, and we got zero after years. If they don't do something soon, and by the way, what happens to all the people that sold us this story? Do we just give them a pass for not telling us the truth, for overhyping, over sensationalizing, and then inevitably under delivering? And now we're all getting to the big letdown. And by the way, those disclosure boners they're going limp. The disclosure, they're all going limp because you can't maintain the disclosure, excitement with zero evidence for 105 days. The excuses only work for so long. And by the way, I'm getting messages from people who are like, I hate your guts, Stephen, but you're right on this one. And I really wanted to believe it. And they lied to us. Yeah, you think so? Maybe, just maybe, right? Yes. So we'll take a couple comments or questions from the live chat. William Runner says people will forget the misses. Yeah, and then they'll get excited about another news story that's overhyped and over sensationalized. Yes, Chuck Bam says when Grush provides the drawing, you will all be convinced, right? Randy 1979 says Grush tried and failed at being the next Corey Good. Could be, yeah. Oh, and let's take a moment to recognize two things. James Taylor has been a member for 2 months. Praise the cash, James Taylor, and thank you for being a member. Praise the cause, Stephen. Love the work, mate. Greetings from Brum, England. Well, hello there from across the pond, and I hope you get some tea and crumpets. Did you know that my mother was Irish and English, and I grew up with tea and crumpets, right? My mom was big on tea, all different teas. Normally the kind everybody drinks, but occasionally we'd have the special kind like Earl Grey and, but interesting to see people from all the way from Brum, England. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. You've been a member for 2 months. Thank you very much. And then we've got Local 556 with a kind and generous $10 super chat says, I hope Knapp and Coppell get repercussions for selling the Grush BS and making Congress look like a bunch of dummies. I honestly don't think that Congress will forget that. Repercussions should come. Well, there's already repercussions because there's not going to be a House Select Committee and they're not going to get subpoena power. And Local 556, because of the way that they manipulated Congress and made Congress look silly and stupid by sitting there listening to a mental patient tell fairy tales with no evidence that he could share, it means they're all going to be super reluctant to do another UFO hearing. We're not going to see. I would be surprised if we see another congressional UFO hearing in the next 5 years. I would be surprised because these guys don't like to be made to look foolish, right? And people are asking, why are you wasting all this money and time on this? We've got a war in Ukraine and we're giving billions of dollars to a foreign nation to essentially fight a proxy war with one of our adversaries. We've got a fentanyl problem like you wouldn't believe. Just go search YouTube for Kensington, Philadelphia, And maybe Congress should be spending their time on that and not UFO grifter nonsense. But we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And everybody, you can, I think in the live chat, you can click on Local 556 and go to his channel, see his latest video on the PTSD issue. And I appreciate him doing that because I got, oh man, I got lampooned. How dare you question a decorated war veteran with PTSD? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we still lived in America and I was allowed to ask questions. And we thank Patrick Sheehan for 2 things, both being a member and a kind and generous $9.99 super sticker. We thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. And I got to tell you, we thank and love all of you for helping us to praise the cash, friends.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Praising the cash here, not quite as well as the grifter side. So, you know, I guess in wrapping up, I've tried to keep these. We're trying something new, which is to try to cover 2 stories because each of them, I didn't want to spend 2 or more hours on one. There's really not that much to share. So we're coming up on 1 hour. You know, I think that we've sufficiently covered the Grush situation, which is that 105 days ago, just a quick recap, 105 days ago, this man claimed he had all kinds of evidence. He claimed he submitted it to the to the Inspector General of the intelligence community, and that they were investigating. Turns out they're not investigating anything. It turns out maybe he didn't give them any evidence because they're saying they have no information to share. This is very, very troubling. And then we add to that the revelations that he's a mental patient. We have to recognize that a mental patient came out 105 days ago talking about alien bodies and alien spaceships, claiming he had all kinds of evidence, and we're 105 days in. Still no evidence. We've got the Dopser situation. Why won't he release that information? It's free for publication. He's allowed to publish that. Why won't he? Could there be something in his answers that doesn't quite match what he said in the interview? Or there's got to be a reason why he won't release that, because I think John from the Black Vault nailed it when he said that that would bolster his credibility. Why won't he release unclassified information that's free for public release? Yeah, and Steve Long is here. Steve Long says they have a million excuses for why we can't scrutinize these claimants, right? Star Hunter says, I give him props if he is a combat veteran. Well, he hasn't proven that, just as he hasn't proven any of his alien claims. And I'm sorry, but if the man's been caught lying several times, I think, so far, or he may be being deceptive, I'm not trusting him when he says he's a combat veteran. Or, you know, honestly, if I really search my memory, I don't recall him calling himself a decorated combat veteran. I recall other people selling his story calling him that. But he should correct him if he's not. And Go Kick Rock says, don't forget to mention the special select committee with subpoena power has been rejected. Yes, that's another issue. That's been rejected. So all you disclosure bros, all of you can blame the UFO Grift Squad for destroying disclosure. We could have got a special select committee with subpoena power. And then there would have been some kind of revelations, at least more information released. But because the Grift Squad wheeled a mental patient into Congress who had no evidence that he could share publicly, even though everybody kept calling him a UFO whistleblower, what did he blow the whistle about? Nothing. Nothing. No new information. Nothing that he released was new. Nothing. Not a single piece of information. You know, and what he's showing and talking about in his interviews isn't evidence. And then we got this recent piece, new interview, where he just speculated for 2 hours. There was nothing in that, no evidence. How are you going to give an interview for a 2-hour video and you don't have any evidence to share? Something is not right with this story. It is falling apart before our very eyes. And, you know, I got to say that I, for one, I'm glad that the story is falling apart quickly, because sometimes we have to wait years before it's clear that some of these people are full of it. Yeah, Scrub J says there is nothing to disclose. If you say so. Christine Wood says disclosure will rock our reality. Religions will crumble. I don't think so, Christine, because even the Catholic Church has come out and said that it wouldn't change Catholicism or Christianity. It would just be more proof of God's glory, that God created other intelligent species somewhere in the universe. But it does raise a lot of strange theological questions. Like if you're a Christian, Jesus had to come to Earth and save humanity. So did Jesus have to go to the alien planets too? Did they each get their own Jesus to come and save them? It's going to raise an awful lot of questions for sure. Yes, and I agree with Scrub J, who says, Christine, people have been saying that for 70 years. Gunner65 says, where is the NARA FOIA for Grush's record? Well, I haven't filed one. I don't know how to do that, Gunner65, but you're the expert on military records. Maybe you can help us out and try to find what battles David Grush was in to get post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, I would think he had to have seen combat to get post-traumatic stress from combat, but that's what we get. We get this muddying of the waters. Oh, he's a decorated combat veteran, so that must be how he got his PTSD. No, he got his PTSD because a friend of his committed suicide. Well, which one is it? And if you're going to claim that you're a decorated war hero, or other people selling your story are going to use that as a plot device to sell your story and bolster your credibility, then show us the proof that you were in combat. Show us the proof. We don't get that, right? Simon Fly says the whole ontological shock theory is BS. Yeah. Yeah. Mace raising another theological question. What if aliens said the Christian God is not real? Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But we're going to pivot now. What I would say about the Grush situation is show me the evidence. You know, like show me the money. Show me the aliens. Show me the aliens. Or I'm just not interested. You know, we can't. How much more time are we going to waste on a guy with no evidence? 105 days now. And, you know, I will say this, I guess it's been good for interest in the topic. People are interested, but most people in the real world are saying to me, like, you know, I've had people come up to me and you know, friends and family that know what my show is about. And they go, oh, Stephen, you know, it's all bull. You know, that guy at Congress, he didn't have any evidence. He was probably just making it up. And these are just regular people that are not intensely interested in the topic. So, you know, when people get upset that people won't take this topic seriously, well, you can thank the circus promoters like Dave Grush, Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Ross Coulthard, Leslie Kane, Ralph Blumenthal, and others who make this a topic of mockery by making huge claims. He's got all this evidence. 105 days in, we still don't have any evidence. It's incredible. Local 556 is saying that nobody did a FOIA on him yet. Well, I don't know about that. John from the Black Vault might have, but I'd have to ask him. I think that the military records thing is confusing to me, Local 556, because I'm not sure you can get any records of his, you know, like his, I know the DD-214, you have to be him or a family member to get the detailed records. And that's what we would need to prove that he was a combat veteran, right? We would need some detailed records. Yeah, Capsa says, no evidence for the claims makes this, what? A psyop, a joke, what? A circus? I think it's very clear that this is an attempt to make money. That's what I believe it is. Thrill Seeker 72 says, I want to know why the major grifters seem to have protection and special access. Someone should have to answer to that. Yeah. And somebody else brought up an important point. If you sell fictional stories as fiction, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it was Luis from Ufology is Corrupt. Is it Ufology is Corrupt? I think so. He is essentially stating if you sell completely and totally fake stories that you claim are true, that's a form of consumer fraud. And this is a point that we've brought up many, many times here. Local says you can get records. Well, I think we should get on that. Let's get on that, right? Yeah. Arrows is here. Arrows Andy says his mental health has nothing to do with his claims at this point. Well, yeah, they do, because who's more likely to make up stories about aliens? A mental patient or somebody that has no history of any mental problems? Highly regarded people are backing him. Which highly regarded people? Are you talking about the grifters that are selling this? Like Ross Coulthard, who's gotten caught selling fake stories at least 3 times now. Ross Coulthard has been caught selling completely and totally fake stories at least 3 times now. Which highly regarded people are backing him? Nobody's backing him. In fact, they're all slowly backing away from him, Arrows Andy, because his story is falling apart from lack of evidence. 105 days now. And Arrows Andy, if you believe this man, how long are you going to wait while there's no evidence before you say he must not have any? It's a serious question. And I'm seriously curious. How long will you wait? Local 556 with another kind of generous $5 says, no, you just needed FOIA a basic version of his DD-214. It will have his training dates and deployments. Anyone can FOIA somebody's military service. Well, nice to know. I'll see if I can't get that filed, but I'm pretty sure. Don't you think John from the Black Vault already did that? I hate to, recreate the wheel. I'll ask him, because at least then we'd be able to see what he actually did in the military to get post-traumatic stress disorder from his military service, right? Yeah, also look at the people who say he's trustworthy. Yeah, a bunch of people that have all been caught selling 100% fake stories before. It's amazing, friends. It's amazing. So we're gonna roll on to the Mexican alien story. For those unaware, recently during a Mexican congressional hearing, Jaime Maussan, well-known hoax promoter who's been caught in, I think, over 100, but there's a list right now going around of over 45, I think it is, hoaxes and completely and totally fake stories. So he wheeled out some caskets in front of the Mexican Congress and claimed that they were alien bodies. And I got to tell you, it didn't go quite as expected. In fact, it went not well at all. It went about like this, friends. So, of course, they're laughing when Jaime Maussan calls himself a journalist, because this man has been a garbage peddler for 30 plus years. He's been involved in just about every fake story. Every one of his stories I think is fake. And in fact, if somebody sends me a story and Jaime Maussan is involved, I don't even read it. I don't even waste 2 seconds of my time, because that man has been peddling fake stories for 30 plus years. But it's interesting to see that some of the bottom-feeding grift squad fully endorsed this as maybe it's true. And we see the usual people like Christina Gomer and Jimmy Church. How many fake stories has Jimmy Church co-signed? Let's see. Emery Smith, Corey Good, David Wilcock, Dr. Jonathan Reed. Those are just a few examples that are completely and totally fake stories that Jimmy Church co-signed. And now he's trying to infect the younger generation by teaming up with Christina Gomer, who, by the way, I hear she's making lots of money selling lies. Congratulations, honey. they basically co-signed this, made an awful lot of money. They did, telling people that, oh, they just unveiled alien bodies in Mexico and they may be real. No, a 5-minute Google search. In 5 minutes of Google searching, they could have shown their audience that those alien mummies were completely and totally fake. They were created using bones of dead people. But hey, don't let that get in the way of a good alien story. And what we see is she got 150,000 views from her co-signing of this alien scam. And I just want to publicly ask Christina Gomez, can you tell me where your dead relatives are buried so that, because I need some extra money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig up your dead relatives and then I'm going to rip apart their corpses and I'm going to glue them back together. And then I'm going to take a llama skull and cut off the pieces of the llama skull and put it on backwards and pretend it's an alien skull. And it's all an alien body so that I could make some money. Would that be okay with Christina Gomez? Would that be okay with Jimmy Church? Would that be okay with Chris Lito or any of these other people who are selling this as maybe it's true? Look, they showed aliens. Come on. You can't co-sign a complete and total fake story that was created by desecrating and mutilating human body parts. It's ridiculous that anybody would do that. But Christina Gomez, 150,000 views with Jimmy Church. And, you know, even if we take a very conservative approach, and she has no shame, even after the entire story is completely and totally busted as fake to most people's satisfaction, she keeps the video up because she's still earning ad revenue on a completely and totally fake story. She made somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 in ad revenue. And by the way, that's just a guess based on the fact that I'm a content creator and I know how to calculate these things. It's generally between, you know, $1,000 and $2,000 she probably was paid for her recent video, where they basically co-signed that this may be true. But Chris Lito, he at least took his video down after he was at something like 50 or maybe 100,000 views. I'm sorry, he took the video down, so I don't have the exact count. You could see our previous coverage about that. And there's an excellent film by researcher Charlie Weiser about that situation. Let's take a look.
In Mexico, where they roll out 2 little boxes, little coffins with aliens inside them, real alien bodies. Oh my gosh. And they are strange, man. They are weird. Here they talk about the bone structure.
Consist of human metacarpals and phalanges mixed together. What's that?
They knew. They had to know.
It's a meat
Our government
bone.
knows. Oh
it's
my
followed
gosh.
by a phalange, then a metacarpal, then
Whatever
again
that
by
means.
phalange. Inside the wrist, we can make out 2 humeri or upper arm bones, 2 ulnae, and 1
Reptilian
tibia
or
that all
bird-like.
seem to have belonged to a child. Amongst these, we suddenly find a border vertebra. Instead of humeri,
You know,
she
no
sports
genitals.
femurs
You just got
or
3
thigh
creepy
bones.
eggs in there. Look, it's
One of
pregnant.
the thigh bones is
Oh,
actually
that's
a
so
femur,
creepy, man.
only
Look at
facing
that.
the wrong way around, while the other one is a tibia. And they are completely mismatched. The first pseudophalanges are facing in different directions on her left and right
Oh,
hands.
man.
The reptiloid's cranial cavity fits perfectly the cranial cavity of a llama.
I mean, that's hard evidence. That's
The
what you guys
reptiloid's
wanted.
face is actually the back of the poor llama's head.
They say it can't chew, so they drink their food. That's gross. Is that why the cows are all empty of blood? Alien, man. This is alien. This is it. This is it. Holy shit, man.
So there we have it. Chris Lito fully co-signed that this is it. The aliens. We're finally getting the aliens. At least he had the good sense to take his video down. And by the way, I just want to make very clear that I would never desecrate. I would never dig up somebody's dead relatives, but I have been asking people who are making excuses for this hoax, and especially people who are profiting from the desecration and mutilation of human bodies, including bodies of children, if it would be okay with them that I dig up their relatives and make some alien money. Because if they're okay with making money from this, they should be okay with anybody digging up their relatives and doing a similar hoax, right? It's ridiculous that anybody is making money off of this. It's a complete and total scam. And by the way, we have more information to share with you about this, because it appears that Jaime Maussan is in extreme danger right now of being criminally arrested or prosecuted for this hoax. And remember, we detailed on this program that there really should be some kind of consequences for people who are willing to use mutilated, mangled human corpses to sell a fake alien story. By the way, this is also from Charlie Weiser. This is the Nazca alien called Josephine. And what we can see is that the bones were put in upside down. The bones assembled in the three-fingered hand were human baby bones put in upside down. Absolutely ridiculous that people are using human remains to scam for alien dollars. And I don't know how to... Well, I used to know how to strongly express my disgust, my absolute and total disgust for people like Jimmy Church, Chris Lito, and Christina Gomez. Christina, you made how much money did you make off of human mutilated corpses? They were someone's children. They were someone's mother, someone's father. And they were robbed from a grave site, ripped apart, mutilated, and then glued back together wrong, with arm bones and leg bones and arms to make them look alien-like. And then they were even further disrespected because somebody took an animal skull and cut parts of it off and jammed it with those human remains. You, Christina Gomez, should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for making money off of this scam. Your parents should be ashamed of you. Your ancestors should be ashamed of you. Your neighbors should be ashamed of you. Your co-workers, your fellow students at that college your parents probably paid for. Everyone should be ashamed of Christina Gomez. It's absolutely unconscionable. There is no excuse, ethically or morally, for making money off of the mutilation of human corpses. They were someone's family members. I was about to say that I used to know how to express my absolute disgust of some of the UFO Grift Squad members and the total lack of ethics, the things they're willing to do to help sell a fake story. Now we've reached a point where people are willing to co-sign on human body parts being mutilated, robbed from graves, and mangled and glued back together to appear alien. We've reached a point where people are just okay with that, as long as they make money. Congratulations, Christina Gomez. I hope you made a lot of money on this. I hope it was worth it. I hope it was worth it for you and Jimmy Church to co-sign this. And by the way, we're going to share some parts of that. But before we get to that, and I was going to make a video over the weekend about the bottom feeders that are helping to sell that hoax. Because remember, you got the top feeders, the people who create the hoax in the form of Jaime Maussan, Gaia TV. By the way, Gaia TV has made millions of dollars off of this, off of the mutilation, the grave robbing, the mutilation and desecration of human remains. Shouldn't there be some criminal liability for Gaia TV as well as the people perpetrating the hoax? Who was it that glued these body parts back together and desecrated them? isn't there laws? Yeah, apparently there is. And some people may face some consequences. But before we get to that, I have another additional, more information to share with you, because it appears that Jaime Maussan was taken to task recently on a Peruvian television show, a news broadcast. And this is what we need. We need people that are going to ask hard, powerful questions about what people are selling when it comes to aliens and UFOs. You know what we don't need? We don't need bottom-feeding parasites with absolutely no ethics, no morality, like Christina Gomez, to come in and, oh, it might be real, do the dance and get the money. We don't need that. We need people like me or this journalist who ask some hard questions, because if you did 5 minutes of research, you would know that the story was completely and totally fake, and these so-called alien bodies were created by robbing graves and desecrating and mutilating human corpses and skeletons, including the corpses and skeletons of dead babies. Congratulations, Christina Gomez. You're okay with making money off of dead babies. And here we go. By the way, Christina Gomez, to the best of my knowledge and recollection, last I checked, her video is fully monetized. And we've expressed to you how many of our videos get demonetized for telling people the truth. But so I can't make money on YouTube for telling you the truth about those alien mummies, but apparently it's perfectly acceptable. It's perfectly okay for Christina Gomez to make money off of dead babies being mutilated and mangled to sell a completely and totally fake story. That could be monetized. That's okay. Telling people the truth about it, apparently off limits, because a lot of our videos here telling people the truth about these issues and these matters get demonetized either before the broadcast even ends here or after the broadcast ends, and then it takes them 5 days to review it, so we lose all ad revenue. And a quick check in with that situation tells us that our show that we broadcast about these alien mummies being completely and totally fake on September 14th, 4 days ago, was demonetized right after the broadcast ended. The title of the broadcast was Alien Bodies in Mexico, The Real Truth. We got flagged for ad suitability. They said this video is not suitable for ads, so they set it to limited or no ads. This video may earn limited to no ad revenue. Well, here, I'll just show you. This video may earn limited to no ad revenue due to content identified as not suitable for most advertisers. So apparently, telling people the truth about those alien mummies is not suitable for advertisers. But if you're Christina Gomez and you're going to lie to people about human corpses being, mutilated, that's perfectly okay for ads. And we submitted it for review immediately on September 14th. It's still being reviewed to determine whether it's suitable for most advertisers. This video got 3,200 views, which means we lost 30 or 40 bucks in ad revenue, maybe 50 bucks. I don't know. I'd have to do a more detailed analysis. But isn't it interesting that you can totally sell these aliens as being probably real or maybe real and not give your audience the truth, and you could make, I think, hundreds of dollars, if not maybe thousands of dollars, Christina Gomez made on this fake story. Ridiculous. All right, just to be clear, this is from a recent interview that Mr. Jaime Maussan gave to En Vivo, which is a news network in Peru.
Sustraer piezas prehispánicas en
I'm going to read, this is subtitled, "To extract pre-Hispanic pieces in this country, in Peru, is a crime. they proceed as they...
El país Perú es un delito.
Procedan como tengan que proceder. Yo no...
and Jaime Musan says, I have not committed any crime. Who has them? I do not know that. I do not know that
cometido ningún delito.
¿Quién las tiene? Le pregunto.
Yo no sé quién las... Mire, yo no sé. Esa persona pidió el anonimato.
Ask the anonymous. I am going to violate that. Yeah. So Jaime Musan is claiming that the original source of these was anonymous, even though they were named before. And he can't violate his journalistic integrity. Let me tell you something. If you're selling a fake story about aliens that's based on mutilated human body parts, you have no journalistic integrity to violate. He says, I reserve the information very well.
Yo no voy a violar eso. Yo soy periodista y me reservo la información.
Muy bien. Bueno, ya.
We'll get there in last. Thanks, Jaime Musan, for this interview. Yeah. So, and also, just so people are aware, it is an absolute positive. Yeah, we got to put up our money too, because Jaime Musan somebody made millions of dollars from this fake story. It is a crime to remove a human corpse from the country of Peru. Apparently, somebody moved these human corpses from Peru to Mexico. So that's what the journalist is asking about this situation. And Jaime Musan says he did nothing wrong. But somebody did, because first of all, it's a crime to rob graves of human remains. It's a crime in Peru. I checked. It's also a crime in Peru to mutilate human remains. It's a crime to rob graves, mutilate human remains, and it's a crime to, rob bodies from grave sites, and a crime to move them. So we've got three criminal acts here, at least three criminal acts that took place in order to sell this fake story.
Llegaremos a quien las tiene. Gracias, Jaime Maussan, por esta entrevista.
Jaime Musan says, what is the truth?
Díganos cuál es la verdad. Explíquenos. ¿Cuál es la mentira?
What is the lie? But you tell the truth to people. How do they see that as extraterrestrials?
Pero usted, dígale la verdad a la gente. ¿Cómo vende eso como extraterrestres?
How does it mean those are extraterrestrials? I think that's the journalist asking him. How does it mean those are extraterrestrials? And interestingly, I guess it's people that work for Jaime Musan. They're all jumping in the background like, why is the boss yelling and getting upset and saying he didn't do anything illegal?
¿Cómo señala que esos son extraterrestres?
I said that you were saying, you were also saying it now. You think they are extraterrestrials.
Usted también lo está diciendo ahora, que usted piensa que son extraterrestres.
I said I do not think, Jaime Musan says, I said I did not think, I do not affirm, I cannot prove it. What I can... What I can show is the scientific research that we have. You want to explore what it is. That's what Jaime Musan is saying. I apologize for the language barrier here.
¿Y quién hizo esa investigación?
Says who did that research? Who does not think it is a scientific research?
¿Quién?
He's getting so pissed off, right? Why would he get so pissed off if he actually had real evidence? And the only reason, in my opinion, he's getting pissed off is because the jig is up and he's getting called out. And not only that, the pressure and the heat is on. He's going to have to answer how these alien bodies were stolen from graves in Peru. He's going to have to answer who mutilated human corpses.
No.
It is the queen of all tests. Yeah, and by the way, the so-called science from the people directly attributed to Jaime Musan, he's paying them for fake science. It's been called junk science, pseudoscience. Everybody that's an independent that looked at these alien bodies said fake. And here's why. And they showed evidence and proof of fakery and fraudery. I'm sorry, but if you had a real alien body, I doubt that it would 100% match the skull casing of a llama. And by the way, veterinary experts have looked at that and confirmed that's an animal skull, not an alien skull. And experts in anatomy have looked at these things. All kinds of experts have looked at their data and said, these are fake and here's why. But Jaime Musan is going to cling to the belief that these are real.
compañero, la reina de todas las
The
pruebas.
queen of all tests. With what scientific support? Asks the journalist.
¿Qué sustento científico? ¿Con qué sustento?
With what support? The idea is that we have done the same test, and what we have reached as a conclusion is that it is fraud. So, wow, the Peruvian journalist is saying we have done the same tests, and what we have concluded is it is fraud. Big charges against Jaime Maussan. It's about time he faced some fraud charges. He's been performing frauds for 30 years, in my view.
Acá hemos hecho la misma prueba y lo que hemos llegado como conclusión que es un fraude.
Jaime Maussan says it is not true about the fraud allegations.
Aquí hemos llegado a la misma.
Here we have taken the same investigation 5 years ago, says the journalist. So 5 years ago, they determined that these were frauds, back when these originally came out.
Investigación hace 5 años. Es un fraude eso.
They have not done anything. They have not touched these bodies. That's Jaime Maussan's defense. Has anyone believed that any of the extraterrestrials enter the pieces? Yeah.
Es usted un mentiroso.
No.
You are a liar, says Jaime Maussan. He's getting pissed.
Oh, usted, señor.
No, you are a liar, sir, says the Peruvian journalist. Oh, this is great.
Yo soy un mentiroso. Yo soy un mentiroso.
Entreguen las piezas.
Está bueno, está bueno. No es
it is good. Pre-Hispanic pieces, Peruvian.
Prehispánicas peruanas. Muy bien. Gracias.
He says very well, thank you. We wait for the evolution.
La evolución. Jaime Maussan.
Oh, wow. I'm glad, for one, that this journalist called him out, because the Peruvian government has a thing or two to say about this, and that is the next issue. Because there is now, friends, thankfully, there is a criminal investigation. There is a criminal investigation into Jaime Maussan. It's about time. It's about time. Get the grifter. Put him in jail. UFO expert who unearthed alien bodies insists he did nothing illegal. Peru has launched a criminal probe into how the alleged alien bodies left the country and ended up in the UFO expert's possession. An investigator who presented non-human bodies to Mexico's Congress, that would be Jaime Maussan, maintains that his actions were entirely legal, as Peru has launched a criminal probe. Peru launched the investigation into how the alleged aliens left the country in the first place. Last week, alongside forensic experts, journalist, and UFO enthusiast Jaime Maussan, by the way, calling him a journalist is a big stretch, but the article goes on to state he unveiled 2 mummified corpses, which he claimed were the corpses of extraterrestrials. He contends that these mummified bodies, which he claims to be 1,000 years old, represent a groundbreaking discovery in human history. However, the majority of the scientific community remains skeptical, suggesting that they are part of an already debunked and possibly illegal endeavor. Maussan, 70, claims that the bodies were discovered around 2017 in Peru, near the enigmatic pre-Columbian Nazca lines, ancient geoglyphs shrouded in mystery. Peruvian officials are now vigorously questioning how these specimens, which they assert are of earthly origin, the Peruvian authorities are saying they're human remains, left the country and ended up in Jaime Maussan's possession. Culture Minister Leslie Ortega has stated that they are investigating the circumstances under which these bodies, described as pre-Hispanic objects, departed Peru, and a criminal complaint has been lodged. In response to the probe, Maussan said, "I'm not worried. I have done absolutely nothing illegal." However, he could not answer how the bodies arrived in Mexico. Remember, it's a crime for them to have moved these. They're cultural artifacts of Peru. You can't just take a cultural artifact of Peru and take it out of the country. It's illegal in Peru. When asked how the mummified corpses, who he calls Clara and Maurico, came into his possession, he replied only that he would reveal all at the appropriate time. On Tuesday, the alien enthusiasts testified under oath. That's not entirely accurate. They weren't really under oath before Mexican lawmakers, claiming that we are not alone in the universe. The two alleged alien corpses were presented in windows boxes in Mexico City on Wednesday. His claims have not been proven, and Masan has previously been associated with previous claims of discoveries that have later been debunked. So he's done this before. At the public hearing, the self-professed ufologist said these specimens are not part of our terrestrial origin. These aren't beings that were found after a UFO wreckage. They were found in a diatom algae mine and were later fossilized. Experts in Congress showed apparent x-rays of the specimens and said that one of the beings carried eggs with embryos inside them. After comparisons were made to other DNA samples, it was found that, well, it was claimed that over 30% of the specimen's DNA was unknown, Musan claimed. Yeah, so the heat is on, and there are finally, listen, it's an answer to a prayer. There are finally UFO grifters getting criminally investigated. And all it took was somebody desecrating and mutilating human body parts to make that finally a reality. Now, we're going to get into some of the Grift Squad and how they push this stuff. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the video that we're sharing. We're going to share Christina Gomez video where she says a lot of stuff.
When they displayed the Nazca mummies, they're like, really? You guys are really showing this? This isn't anything new. But for everyone else, they're like, oh my God, alien bodies.
Yeah. And nice to know that Christina Gomez is making so much money, 160,000 monetized views, right?
And overall, it was unexpected. It was exciting, regardless on if you believe it or not about these mummies. But you've been following
Christina Gomez. It's exciting. It's exciting that somebody pulled out bodies that were glued together from multiple human deceased remains. That's exciting to you, and pretended that they were aliens. You were gonna co-sign this, Christina Gomez. How much money did you make? What are you gonna buy with that money?
That particular story since it came out into the public.
That's right.
So this is why I have you, Jimmy. This is why you're the best co-host, because you've been following this for a long time and you fill in all the gaps for me and for other people.
Yeah, or they're going to fill their audience in of all the gaps, except the overwhelming evidence from independent scientific verification that these were all faked.
Well, but the first thing, before we get into the big part, the meat and potatoes here, let's kind of just briefly go over the hearing for those that didn't watch it. The link is below, by the way, in the description box with English subtitles.
Yeah, let's just get to the non-human bodies.
Yeah, right. And so the takeaway from that, and thank you.
And by the way, just so everybody is aware, these two are experts at the bob and weave, right? Oh, it's so exciting that they wheeled out alien bodies. It doesn't occur to you, Christina Gomez, that those were people before they were ripped apart and mangled and mutilated and turned into an alien sideshow? Those were human beings. Do you have any ethics at all? Did your parents teach you anything about human decency? I mean, I can only speak as a parent myself, but if my children made money off of a scam that involved the mutilation of human corpses, I would consider myself a failure as a parent. Did this girl's parents not teach her that you don't mutilate human remains? You don't desecrate the sanctity of somebody's burial place and steal skeletal remains and body parts out of graves and then rip them apart and glue them back together with animal bones and plaster to sell a fake alien story? Didn't her parents teach her that you don't make money off of that? Apparently not, because here she is making money off of that. Congratulations, honey.
For putting it that way.
And by the way, Jimmy Church has co-signed a number of hoaxes, including the Jonathan Reed hoax, I would say the all of the fake information from David Wilcock, the fake information from Emery Smith, the fake information from Corey Good, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Jimmy Church has never cared about if a story is fake or not. All he cares about is if he can make money from it. And it appears that he has infected Christina Gomez with that attitude towards covering these topics as well.
We need to do a couple of things here. The presentation is done. It's over. All right. I think that the ideas behind the presentation and what was the goals of this presentation, very effective. All right.
Oh, very effective.
That part of it was great.
Jimmy Church just said that they were very effective in wheeling out fake alien bodies made from mutilated human corpses. Congratulations on your choice of co-hosts, Christina Gomez. Congratulations. Your co-host just said they were very effective at using human mutilated remains to sell a fake alien story. And you're no different because you're making money off of this completely, totally fake story. And by the way, I would have no problem with these two or anyone else covering this story as long as you came with the real information like we did in our coverage and showed you the truth behind this hoax, this disgusting, despicable hoax. Absolutely ridiculous. And she's keeping this video up, still making money off of human mutilated dead babies. Congratulations, UFO Researcher of the Year, Christina Gomez.
The other part, though, is like with anything else like this, you need to remain objective. You need to sit right in the middle, and you need to let history play itself out here.
Why are they not sitting in the middle? Why aren't they showing the overwhelming evidence that anyone could find in 5 minutes of Google searching that these are fake aliens made from mutilating human corpses? They never bring that up during this broadcast. At least to the best of my recollection, I listened to this when they released it.
Like you said earlier, I have been involved with this, with these mummies and the reveal of this since the very beginning.
Yeah, he was probably involved with the original hoax. I'm sure if we search Jimmy Church's archive, we will find that this isn't the first time, perhaps. And by the way, I don't know, I'm speculating, so don't, kill me if I'm wrong here. He probably has made monetized videos about this before and played dumb, like he doesn't know how to look things up on Google and tell his audience the real truth behind this hoax.
Going back to 2017, officially this started to hit the streets in about 2018. I have got terabytes of emails, letters.
He's got terabytes of data that he could share with his audience. But instead of sharing that terabytes of data, I'm assuming some of which would include all of the debunks that show how fake this is, he's going to make a monetized video with Christina Gomez here and not give anybody the truth about these things.
Statements, videos, images, photographs, maps of all of this from the very, very beginning. I was very surprised to see these revealed. Now, if we look at the timing of
these weren't revealed, they were brought back out. Like many hoaxes are proven fake and then brought back out years later.
Of all of this. And again, I want everybody to just remain objective. Stay in the middle. Don't go one way or the other. Don't dismiss the
Yeah, and that's how they're going to justify selling this hoax. Oh, we're just talking about it. We're just evaluating the evidence they put forward. What about all the evidence, the overwhelming mountain of evidence that independent, real PhD people, real experts, real medical doctors, real experts in human anatomy all put forward proving these are fake? What about all that evidence that you just conveniently, again, the lie by omission? That's how the UFO whole system works. You just lie by omission. Just forget to tell your audience there's a mountain of evidence that these are fake.
This as being a hoax. Don't go all in that these are alien bodies from reticuli. No, just stay in the middle and let history play itself out. But that being
history already played itself out, and these were proven frauds years ago. But hey, we can make some money making a video about this, so that's what we'll do. I cannot express my disgust with these two enough. It just a complete and how do you sleep at night, right? Making money off of the mutilation of dead babies to sell a fake story.
Being said, the absence of this for the last 5 years, because there was a big blow up about all of this in 2018.
Yeah, there was a big blow up that it was a big fake fraud. He leaves that part out.
It was overshadowed and kind of went away after TTSA, and
it wasn't overshadowed. It was proven as a hoax. It was proven to be fake by real scientists, not people that are working for Jaime Maussan pretending to be scientists or whatever.
Lou Elizondo, when the Tic Tac comes on the scene, and those videos and everything else that has played out since then. So most of the people that saw these bodies yesterday had never seen them before.
And that's why they can pull the hoax a second time, because people forget.
Had never heard of this before. And this goes back historically, back to 2018, and there was a lot of information and drama centered around these.
Yeah, the drama was that Jaime Maussan and his co-conspirators somehow used human remains to fake alien bodies.
There was a point at, and I remember when I was hosting Coast to Coast, and that week when the first set of mummy videos had hit, in 2 days,
I wonder how stupid the people that watch these two are. I mean, I can't even imagine how stupid you have to be to sit there and listen to these two who have pushed provably fake stories, both of them, multiple times.
In 2 days, those videos got 75 million views. And
yeah, imagine the YouTube ad revenue from 75 million views.
And I remember announcing this out to the world, and then that was the first set of mummies. And
yeah, so Jimmy Church right here admits that he promoted the initial hoax. Right? He was getting this information out to people. He was helping promote the original hoax. And here he is promoting the 2.0 version of the hoax. So didn't he make enough money promoting the hoax the first time? He's got a double dip and make some money off of the second version of the hoax?
And videos. And then the smaller ones, the ones that were presented yesterday, came out over the next month or so too as well. There's a long documentary series, multi-part over on Gaia that everybody can go and check out.
Yeah, you too can pay $100 a year to watch a completely and totally fake analysis.
Where x-rays, tissue samples, doctors, and
were they doctors, Jimmy? Do you know they were doctors? This is just cringeworthy.
Of universe.
He's still trying to sell it as they're both going to sit here and sell this as like something credible, something that it's not. And I for one, just I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. And I apologize. I'm a bit behind the 8 ball tonight. We want to thank you, kind and generous benefactors. Tales of Sonic Voyage. Thank you for being a member and for a $5 super chat. Thanks for bringing the truth to the masses, Stephen. We thank you for supporting people who are actually telling their audience the truth instead of people like this who lie to people for money. Sorry, didn't mean to get upset. I'm happy that you're helping us to praise the cash, though. And we have Chris Demarez with a kind of generous $9.99 says, good for 1 ticket to the Jaime Maussan Pickled Punk Museum. That's exactly what this is. We detailed in our previous coverage last week that this is just like a Fiji mermaid hoax, except it's more sickening because instead of using the corpse of a monkey in the hoax, these people use the corpses of humans of people in their hoax. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We thank Richard Crawley for a kind and generous $2.99 super sticker. Longtime show supporter. Thanks, Richard Crawley. Chris Damaris with, oh, I'm sorry. I lost my place here. Good for one ticket to the Pickled Punk Museum. Yes. And we thank Scrub J93 for a kind and generous $10 super chat. Grush should have to reimburse the government for the dollars wasted on the hearing. Yeah, I'm a taxpayer. Look, why don't they spend that on the opioid epidemic or on border security or on, cleaning up the human feces all over major cities in the United States, right? We've got real problems in this country, and I don't think that UFOs or a pending alien invasion is one of them. But thank you, Scrub J93, big show supporter for kind of generous $10 and $5 from Tales of the Sonic Voyage. People tune into her because they think she's hot, not because of her journalistic acumen. He's just the new Bozo the Clown. Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. Unfortunate that these people are making, I really do try to put myself in a different category. I'm never going to make the money that the Grift Squad makes because I'm not going to lie to my audience on a routine basis to just, get some money. But these people just don't care. They have no ethics whatsoever, no integrity whatsoever. And I don't know what she's going to college for, but you'd have to ask yourself if she's going to try to continue to be a journalist after she's done school, who's going to hire her? She's been lying to people for years. And look who she's co-hosting with, a man who equally has been lying to people and helping grifters sell completely and totally fake stories for years. This is the world that we live in. It's a goddamn cesspool of slime balls, if you ask me. And those are just the good guys.
Universities here in the United States, we're looking at those images and checking those out from the very, very, very beginning. Now, there's a lot of researchers that have looked into this on both sides. Jaime took the ball and ran with it. The case went away for about 4 years, and
it didn't go. The case only went away because it was completely debunked as fake, and any other excuse is being dishonest. Jimmy,
I had followed up on this many, many times, including as recently as last week when I was in the UK, because I was hanging out with some of the original investigators on this.
And the original investigators were all paid by Gaia TV. So you can't trust them because they're with the people who are profiting the most from the hoax.
Over in the UK.
You have to go to independent investigative people, independent experts. Every independent expert that you'll find looked at this and said, this is fake and here's why. The only people that aren't saying that are people that are paid directly by Jaime Maussan or Gaia TV.
And I said, hey, what's the deal with the DNA? What's the deal? Well, okay, there's stuff going on. And then boom, we have this week. So I was pretty surprised. I'm excited about the DNA evidence.
He's excited about fake evidence from pseudoscientists and people that you can't trust because they're in on the hoax. Awesome.
The testimony that happened yesterday, not only with the Navy surgeon, but the biologist and the other comments that were made there.
By the way, some of those people are furiously backpedaling on this story now.
The position, and I'll hand it back to you right now, the position that we're in right now is it's now out. It's been replayed. Here we go. The analysis is...
Yeah, the hoax has been replayed. Great job, Jimmy. Great analysis. And she asks Jimmy for a historical perspective here. This is how you know how fake these people are. She asked Jimmy for a historical perspective. So either he's the dumbest guy on planet Earth and he really doesn't know that this was all busted years ago, or he's lying here. Those are the two choices. Jimmy Church is either the dumbest guy on planet Earth, or he's intentionally being deceptive here by leaving out, oh, the story went away because it all came crashing down as a hoax.
Is there, the paperwork is there, And now we can have people like Gary Nolan and others, and anthropologists and biologists and chemists here in the United States and around the world look at the data, look at the analysis, look at the DNA evidence, and see how we move forward. And
it's already been done. Independent experts have already looked at all their so-called evidence and declared this whole thing fake.
That's where we are. We have to let history play this out, and we'll see where we're at.
History has already played itself out, and for him to sit there and act like he doesn't know that a mountain of overwhelming evidence exists that this is all a carefully constructed hoax, it's incredible. And let's see what she has to say.
These are very great points, and ones that I can agree with here. It is up for the media, journalists, the public to make up their own minds on this. Is this real? Is this a hoax? You have two camps, and you have different research to attempt and prove both sides.
How do you explain away that experts in human anatomy looked at these and showed that the bones were glued together all wrong? Here, a foot bone where there's not supposed to be a foot bone, arm bone for a leg bone for an arm bone, bones put together backwards or upside down. Come on, Christina Gomez. You can't be this naive. You just can't be.
Has been some stuff posted on the alienproject.com. I will place that link in the description box of them going into detail and actually showing the analysis and the data of the research conducted on these.
Yeah, data by all being paid for by the principal hoaxers of the hoax. You can't trust data coming from the people perpetrating the hoax. You have to go with independent experts. And again, every independent expert you'll find that looks at these instantly declares that this is completely and totally fake.
These Nazca mummies, again,
with
that
evidence,
link will be in the description box by the end of the show. But before we continue, for those that didn't watch the hearing yesterday, I'd like to just kind of give you a summary on what happened.
So now she's going to just repeat talking points from the people perpetrating the hoax involving the mutilation of dead babies. Congratulations, Christina Gomez.
So we
Great
had
job.
an international
Great
panel
job
from many parts of the world, and a lot of them were sharing their personal stories, their personal encounters, or stating that our country, whatever country they are coming from, need to be more transparent when it comes to the UFO phenomenon and collecting data. That was the overall theme of this hearing. And then
until Jaime Maussan turned it into a circus with dead babies glued together to make fake aliens.
About 2.5 hours, 3 hours in, Jaime says, I have a surprise for you. And then he's saying,
oh, it was a surprise.
David Grush knows about the bodies. David Grush knows this. David Grush knows that. And I really thought Jaime was hyping for the special guest to be David Grush to walk on stage. Like, that was what I was expecting. And then they have these boxes out. They take off the cloth, right? And then bam, bam, alien bodies. Or
no, bam, glued together dead human babies and human beings. That's what you're supporting, making money off of this. Christina Gomez, that's what you're supporting, making money off of this. Jimmy Church, congratulations. You're supporting people who robbed graves, mutilated, and desecrated human bodies.
As they are calling here, non-human entities, because there were tests done on them. There were some very interesting presentations, one of them done by the Mexican naval surgeon with a truly incredible background, and we're going to get into that rather shortly. And he did about, a 15-20-minute presentation on his findings.
He can't be much of an expert if he can't tell human body parts being mangled and mutilated and glued together wrong is not an alien body. So is he in on it? What's the story here?
That he spent a year researching. And
great. I'd love to get an interview with that guy and show him all the independent experts who say this is all fake.
There were multiple tests that were conducted, and I can actually read it verbatim on the tests that were done.
All right. You know what? I can't sit and listen to them try to push this hoax. So basically, Jimmy Church and Christina Gomez are repeating the fake information put forward by the fake people who perpetrated this entire hoax. Incredible, incredible. But just when you think that no one else could get as slimy as Christina Gomez or Jimmy Church, then we get our other bottom-feeding grifters who love to sell fake alien stories, Third Phase of Moon. And they jumped in to try to push that this might be real, right? Let's get to that. And again, we're citing fair use. We're just displaying to people how, you know, some of these people don't care. They have no ethics whatsoever. And Third Phase of Moon had a video titled Unknown Humanoid Species Has the World Watching. And again, we have detailed for you in the past how Third Phase of Moon, you know, put out fake UFO videos. In one case, it was a balloon, and I found it on flightradar24.com in 35 seconds. So again, we have people pretending that they can't work Google in order to just pretend that this stuff may be real and sell it. But I thought this was interesting because they included an interview with the Gaia TV producer, television producer, who sold this hoax originally.
Here, Melissa.
Thanks for having me on Third Phase of the Moon.
Now, it's been about...
And this is a woman named Melissa. If you give me one moment, I will find her exact name because you can look her up. Melissa Titty, that's her name, or Tittle, I'm sorry. Melissa, I thought it said Titty. It says Tittle. Her name is Melissa Tittle. And if you look up Melissa Tittle, I don't know why anybody should believe her about anything. Because here on her LinkedIn, it says that she is the producer of Hathor Studios, producer, writer, and investigative journalist. But if you look on her IMDb page, we find out that she is a producer for Ancient Aliens, Ancient Civilizations, and something called Code 12. So she's already apparently profited directly from this completely and totally fake hoax. We should not believe anything she says, but don't let that get in the way of Third Phase making a couple of dollars. By the way, Third Phase of Moon with extremely, extremely amateur numbers. You're getting killed by Christina Gomer, dude. Their video only got 25,000 views. Amazing.
2 years since the investigation by Gaia into the Nazca mummies. And 2 years ago, and the world was saying that this was some kind of perpetrated hoax. What's your thoughts? What's the new conclusion now?
Well, I would say a couple things. We just came out with a new documentary, and
and did Third Phase of Moon get paid to make this video to hype the new Gaia documentary about this? How much money has Gaia made on this hoax?
this documentary that does kind of an overview of all the updates, but then kind of shows behind the scenes what happened. I would have to say that, to me, we did a lot of tests. We did carbon dating, genetic testing, whatever. But the high res...
How could they not get an expert in human anatomy, like the independent experts who looked at these for a few minutes and noticed immediately that these were human skeletons glued together in wrong ways to create the appearance of an alien?
As CT scans were unbelievable. And when you look at those, because when I think of genetic testing and I think, okay, well, there's so many questions that need to be answered. But if I look at those CT scans, you're looking at like muscle fiber and tissue and blood left on the bodies.
Because they're human bodies. They are human bodies that were robbed from graves, Melissa Tittle.
You're also looking at bodies that according to all the professional people that we have shown it to.
Except for independent people. Everybody that they have shown it to was paid, apparently, or allegedly, or I think. You know, the only people that you're going to catch pushing that these might not be human are people that were, I believe, paid. I could be mistaken, but I believe that everybody that's saying these are non-human or whatever are people that were paid to be a part of the hoax. You can't trust the people that are part of the money situation. They're going to say anything they have to get the check, apparently.
For people that do this for a living, that are either radiologists or surgeons, that kind of thing, they can't find anything altered with the bones. So
that is a complete and total lie, because we showed here when independent experts looked at them, they found plenty that was altered with the bones, including people cutting fingers off of some of these corpses, mutilating them.
For me, that's a good place to start.
So you've done some extensive research, including DNA sequencing. Can you tell us, does the sequencing match the code of our regular DNA human code, or is this something altogether different?
I do not believe that they are 100% human.
She doesn't believe it. He asked her about the DNA, though. Why won't she answer that? Because we have a screen. I have a screenshot of their own data that says that these are humans. You know, like at some point you have to say, how are people pushing this hoax? At some point you have to say, how could they not see this is from their own data? It says Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens. And she's saying, I don't believe that these are human. Her own data confirms that that the samples came from a human corpse.
Again, when you do genetic testing, you can only ask one question with the sample, and then you ask another question, you run another sample through the machine. But so we were only able to ask a couple questions, and we wanted to know, what part of that DNA was human, and then if there was a part of it that had biological human-like genetic codes, then which ones would they match on the planet Earth, right? So in our genetic testing, those are the two questions we can ask given the samples that we had. And so it did come back that there was 25% of that sample did have human-like DNA, and of that 25%, none of that matched any modern human DNA. So that's pretty interesting, considering, if it's a hoax or it's made up, or even if it's like a...
Yeah, I would like to see a real independent geneticist look at their so-called data. Because when you're talking about the fact that they somehow missed that these are human body parts glued back together in completely and totally wrong ways to make them appear alien, I don't trust any of their so-called testing.
A relative in the last couple thousand years. That's very strange. However, we haven't been able to test for ancient DNA. And that's just another question down the genetic code line. That's what the...
Yeah, so they could match a human genome from, thousands of years ago. Again, there's a lot of muddying the waters going on to sell this hoax.
University hopefully is going to do.
So Maria, along with the other mummies, are far different from any known human species known on the planet right now. Do you think they're indigenous to the planet, or do you think they could be possibly other...
Oh, Blake Cousins, you are a special kind of stupid, bro. You are a special kind of stupid, or a special kind of grifter to be pushing this.
Worldly.
I think Maria is very interesting, because if you look at her body, she's got these long fingers and toes. She's got
long fingers and toes because it was modified to make it appear that way. That wasn't naturally occurring. Somebody mutilated a human corpse to make that happen, Miss Tittle. And how much money did Miss Tittle make off of this? How much money has Third Phase of Moon made off of this? How much money has Christina Gomez made off of this? How much money did Jimmy Church make off of this? How much money did Jaime Maussan make? How much money did Gaia TV? Millions and millions of dollars has been generated by people that are just okay with human babies being dug up and glued back together to appear alien. It's despicable what these people did. Absolutely despicable. Absolutely, completely and totally despicable.
Elongated skull, not too elongated, where you could see that it happened at birth, but just like slightly elongated skull.
There's no proof that it happened at birth. Oh, sorry about that. Ad. Oh, incredible. Incredible. And by the way, there's no proof that this mummy, if the skull is elongated, was born with it. It could have been cranial deformation, very common.
Parts of her body is very human, right?
Maybe the part that Melissa Tittle is saying is some parts of her body are human, are the ones that they didn't mutilate.
Opinion would be that I think that it is that it could be a new species, if anything.
A new species. Yet their own DNA analysis confirms Homo sapien. And anatomists that have looked at it confirmed human bones. Just absolutely despicable what has happened here. And you know, every time I think I can't get any more disgusted with the Grift Squad and what they do to make money. I mean, we're talking about, look, all these people I mentioned, Chris Lido, Third Phase of Moon, Christina Gomez, Jimmy Church, Jaime Maussan, and Gaia TV, this Melissa Tittle, everybody involved here has made all this money. And so the conclusion that you can draw is they're just okay with people digging up human baby bodies, ripping them apart, taking their bones, gluing them back together all wrong to make them look alien. Even, oh, let's further disrespect this human being's remains by slapping a llama skull on top. It's absolutely despicable. And I don't know who's worse, the people who perpetrated the hoax or the people that sold the hoax, like Jaime Maussan and Gaia TV. I think the worst in all of this is the bottom feeders, Christina Gomez, Chris Lido. I'm aware the Leak Project also did a video, you know, claiming that this was real. And there's many, many others that I don't have time to go through. All of you people helped sell this as maybe it's real, right? All dancing around the fact that there is an overwhelming mountain of evidence from independent experts that says these are fake. Now we've got a criminal investigation going on into this from the Peruvian government. And I, for one, hope that I get to see Jaime Maussan behind prison bars for this. And by extension, everybody that made money from this should face some consequences. And by the way, just to be clear, if you covered this and you offered both sides of the story, fine. But that's not what we've got here, because that's not how the grifting works. The grifting only works if you do the lie by omission, like Jimmy Church and Christina Gomez. Let's just forget to tell everybody that there's a mountain of evidence that these are human mutilated corpses with animal bones glued in too. You know, it is absolutely, Paul Gavin, no, it's the Peruvian government that's actually, we read the entire article earlier. It's the Peruvian government that is investigating, because apparently 3 crimes were committed in Peru, allegedly. 1, robbing a grave. That's illegal. 2, mutilation or desecration or abuse of a human corpse. That's illegal in Peru. And number 3, moving an antiquated body like this, a mummy, essentially, from the country of Peru to any other country without the permission of the Peruvian government is a crime. And they're investigating how these bodies were moved out of Peru to Mexico and the possession of Jaime Maussan's. William Runner is here and says he needs to be held accountable for this fraud. I agree with you. Bobby Broadway says, now that smashed bodies should be tested, but not those 2 little beings looking like paper and sticks. Yeah, it's really despicable. Oh, sure, I'm grifting. Yeah, I'm grifting. You know what, Paul? We have an 8-year track record of getting stories factually correct, right? And it's a public service to show people who's pushing lies for cash. The mountain of evidence is from the burial mound, right? Bobby's asking if he's a sound guy, right? The criminal investigation has been going on for years, and it's already been proven gang, forget their name, mutilating these corpses. Now they are investigating Jaime Maussan. Would be new. Yeah. And by the way, these bodies were brought to us by a, yeah, you accused me of grifting. Do you know what that means, Paul Gavin? You accused me of being a criminal, essentially, right? And just so you're aware, I didn't make between $1,000 and $2,000 like Christina Gomez and others apparently have for lying to people about this. When we tell people the truth, essentially, we're getting demonetized for telling the true version of what's really going on, right? And we pay the truth tax. We don't lie to people. Therefore, we make perhaps 1 to 10% of what the people lying to everyone make, just so you're aware. And if I wanted to be a grifter, I would be, first of all, I'd be a great grifter with some of my skills in illusions and magic. But second of all, if I was here for money, why would I do this the honest way and take 1% or maybe up to 10%, whatever, of what the grifters get for lying to everybody? Wouldn't I just come here and lie to everybody and go full believer mode and make all the money? We just saw an example, 150,000 monetized views. Do you know the reality? When you lie to people and play ball with the hoaxers and the scammers and the grifters, you too can get 150,000 monetized views. Our report last week showing the absolute honest to God truth about these so-called alien beings got 3,000 views. And by the way, those views were not monetized because we got demonetized shortly after our live broadcast. So I didn't even get to add pennies for this 3,000 goddamn views. So don't come here and call me a goddamn grifter. No, I don't think so. Trickle down griftonomics. That's what we're seeing here. Yeah. And by the way, I don't mean to get upset with you. Maybe you meant that innocently. But, you know, a lot of times people say that, well, you're running your own grift, Stephen, and your grift is to grift by being a skeptic. Skeptics don't make any money. The only skeptic in America that may actually make some money is Michael Shermer. But Michael Shermer has been at it for 30 years. We haven't here, right? Yeah, we already stream. We're going to get some you shoulds now. Mr. Galvin, we already stream on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. We're on Odyssey, and we're on pill.net. We're everywhere that we could be. It's not an issue of exposure. It's an issue of people don't want the truth. Not really. They say they do, but they don't want the truth. They want comforting stories that they already want to believe. That's what they want. They want the reinforcement of their pre-existent belief system. Yeah. Corey Joe with a kind statement, thank you, says Stephen has no personal gain exposing these frauds. May says Stephen Cambion is innocent. He's not a grifter. Well, thanks. Thank you for the support. We appreciate that. Oh, Derek Galloway. My wife will like that. She's a go back and watch the injury tonight against Steelers. His leg snapped. Oh, that's good. They want stories that align with their beliefs. You are quite correct, Charles Lemaru. We are 2 hours and 18 minutes into the broadcast. I haven't done the begging bumpers to remind you that we need money. Even Shermer, if you've noticed how sorry his camera is, can't be making a fortune from his work as a skeptic. How many rich skeptics do you know? Exactly. Nobody makes money being a skeptic, or at least not a significant amount. Meanwhile, we've got UFO grifters. I can show you multiple examples of UFO grifters that are millionaires, right? Stephen Greer, Linda Moulton Howe, Tom DeLonge took in $2 million just with TTSA. We mentioned Stephen Greer. Third Phase Moon, how much money have they made grifting off of the fake alien stories? James Fox is probably a millionaire from several films. Jeremy Corbell bought $1 million home, which would lead most rational people to believe that he's making tons of money. Show me a skeptic that's making an equal amount of money to the grifters. You can't and you won't. It's a very bad argument, right? It's a very bad argument. The guy with the massive, allegedly, David Wilcock and Corey Good have made millions of dollars. So the argument that skeptics are in it for some kind of personal gain is completely and totally ridiculous. Charles says, if you want to interview someone that has direct contact with Peruvian scientists that has been trying to bring this hoax to the government for years, let me know. Absolutely. Please email me. And Ardent Paranormal is here. Thanks for the assistance, Ardent Paranormal, reminding you can email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. Yeah, we would love to interview that person, Charles. Absolutely. Bring it. Bring it. We would love to interview them. Outlander licking. Wilcox, only truth is his smoke alarm event. Yeah, sadly. Tolkien Study says, I talked to random people on Twitter today and they were like, I love Steve Cambion. Okay. Yeah, somebody told me that we're getting a lot of love in the spaces on Twitter recently, which would be new because, to be very honest with you, for a long time now, people used to go into Twitter spaces and talk all kinds of nonsense about me and say how much they hated my guts. But I will say this. Here's what happens sometimes. I have had multiple people apologize to me for saying very nasty, rude, and unkind things to me. Like, for example, one person once sent me an email saying that they hope I got hit by a truck and die. This really happened. And then about a year or so later, I get a message from the same person apologizing because they lost a lot of money with one of the people that we cover here and that I was right about them. So sometimes, people just aren't ready. They're just not ready to be here yet. But they end up here eventually when they too become what I call a damaged disciple. If you're going to be in the disclosures of this, the disciples of disclosure, eventually you're going to get tired of waiting for that evidence they keep promising. And eventually you're going to get tired of the chase the carrot, endless cycle of fake stories, and you'll end up here. And we're thankful for each and every person that has ended up here. And I consider it a sacred duty lately. For those unaware too, I'm working on a really huge story. So we're going to try to curtail those 4 and 5 hour long streams so that I have more time for the research that this really important story that we're developing here is going to require. And now would be a good time to remind you that we are a viewer-supported show. I like this. We have what I refer to as the PBS model, which is that we create good content that I believe is educational and informative and is a public benefit. And in order to keep doing that, we need the support of the audience, and that would be you or people like you. And we appreciate each and every one of you kind and generous benefactors. We have people from all over the world. Just put a couple bucks in our hat if you enjoy what we do and keep us doing it longer. Here's the man with the golden voice, Mr. Ian, to let you know how you can support our show.
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Cambion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey.
Welcome to Pill.net. We aren't just another social media platform, we are the home of free speech. Pill.net offers people a place to share their thoughts, ideas, and content without the threat of censorship. With live streaming, uploaded content, social media posting, and more, Pill.net goes the extra mile by introducing innovative features like mobile push notifications that keep you connected without relying on big tech app stores. These notifications allow creators to instantly alert their audience when they're live or have posted new content, ensuring that your message reaches the right audience at the right time. Plus, with monetization available from day one, you can turn your passion into earnings right from the get-go. Donations and subscription options make it easier than ever to earn income with your content. And it doesn't stop there. Pill.net is constantly evolving to meet your needs. Our updated direct messaging system makes it easier than ever for content creators to engage with people privately. Anyone can also go start their own group chats with friends. Pill.net is more than just a platform. It's a lively community where everyone's voice counts. Make your account today and let our team welcome you to Pill.net. Free speech lives here.
Yeah, imagine that. A platform where you don't get demonetized. There's a lot of increasing censorship, and therefore we've decided to diversify our distribution network. Pill.net, for those unaware, is a new distribution partner. Every time we do a live show, we stream also to Pill.net. They really have a decent platform there. From what I've been able to gather so far, too, it is easier than any other alternative live streaming site. It's been easier than Odyssey by far, easier than DLive or Rumble even. And it is a censorship-free platform. Now, some people don't like that level of free speech because then, of course, you're going to have a lot of people pushing, let's just say, things that you will strongly disagree with. And I've, I get that. However, that's one of the prices of free speech, is that you have to be willing to let people say things that are completely outrageous, that you completely disagree with. My advice to you is, if you're that concerned, join pill.net and tell those people they're wrong. You're free to do that too. You just go to www.pill.net, sign up for an account. It'll ask you who referred you. Put my name in there. We'd like our new sponsors and distribution partners to know that we are sending them new users. They are attempting to diversify things there and get a larger user base. They have a great deal of content creators there, many of which I've never seen before. And quite honestly, I don't know why. Maybe that's because they got banned from other platforms. There's some pretty wild shows there, pretty wild things as well. We broadcast every time we do a show there. We broadcast there as well. And we're picking up new viewers and new supporters. Quite honestly, we're praising the cash over there. And the minute that you sign up, you're not automatically a content creator, but you can get that switch turned on and become a live streamer there. And once that switch is turned on, you're instantly monetized. You can accept subscriptions or something called gold pills, which you can withdraw at any time with a Stripe account. I'm enjoying my time over there. I hope you give it a try. It kind of combines many different things from many different sites you may be familiar with, like, sharing things on Facebook and Twitter. But this one also has video sharing and live streaming like YouTube, kind of a combination of many different things, right? Charles, sure. Let me get that for you again. I have it here somewhere. It's truthseekershow@gmail.com. I always put it up here. That's the best way to contact me. Truthseekershow@gmail.com. And I would hope, Charles, that person speaks English, because I'm terrible at Spanish. I tried to learn Spanish once. Long story. Terrible at it. But I will say that Spanish is easier than any. I took German in high school. And, I grew up also taking Polish lessons. I'm half Polish. And Polish was spoken in my household by my father's side, my Polish grandparents. And so Spanish is easier than any of the Slavic languages like German or Polish by far. But still had issues with it. So I hope he can speak English and make the interview go a lot smoother. But I appreciate you reaching out to me. We would be happy to interview somebody from Peru that is very, very full informed. Paul Gavin asks, which half is Polish? Well, I'm half Polish and half Irish. So that's kind of like being, my mother used to say I was half Polish and half stupid. Or excuse me, half drunk and half stupid. Yeah. So we have done our due diligence for this evening. I just want to check in with our PayPal pledgers. For those that are aware, you can also throw a couple of bucks in our hat at any time to a PayPal pledge. Instructions for how to help are in the description of the video. I want to make sure that we understand, however, that all of our content is now and will forever be free. If you're having a tough time, I haven't given this speech in a while, but I will tonight. If you're having a tough time, just be sure to message me again at truthseekershow@gmail.com. I don't need to know the details. Just tell me you're having a tough time and you enjoy the show and you'd like some of those extra goodies. I'll put you on my email list for those people, and we get you the same benefits that I hate paywalls. We have two though here. We have a $1 paywall and a $5 paywall. We're not asking, I don't think that we're asking too much. And I'm sorry to even have to do that, but it does pay for things like software and monthly bills and backdrop sets, lighting, microphones, video cameras, all that stuff. Turtle Woman 1 is here. Welcome, Turtle Woman 1. Christina Gomez is groomed by Jimmy Church. His wife, Rita, gone, and Whammo, Christina Gomez. Yeah. Steven's email is also in the description. Easier to get it right that way. Yeah, I encourage people to copy and paste, because a lot of people put an extra letters in there. When will the big dilly reveal come? Probably next week. I have to talk to our super secret dildo helper, and we're going to get that together for you. Is she actually French or American and pretend she is French? Are you talking about who is that secret space lady? The crazy? I don't want to say crazy. Sorry, mentally unbalanced. Let's say it that way. I think that's who you're talking about. The secret space lady. William Runner says, my wife is 100% Polish. Her dad came from Poland, speaks 5 languages, retired Green Beret. Yeah, there's a lot of, I still have a lot of Polish friends. I grew up in the Polish area of Philadelphia called Port Richmond. You can look that up. I went to St. Adalbert's grade school and church, which is now, I believe they changed it to Our Lady of Port Richmond for some reason. I grew up in the Polish area, and my parents, my dad was Polish and he was very big on Polish culture. I was big on Polish food, but not so much the culture, because you can imagine being a child and being forced to be in parades in Polish outfits. Not fun. And my father made me take Polish dancing. Oh man, there is a famous Polish dancing thing with an axe. It's an axe, and you got to dance with an axe. And my dad made me do this, and some of it I enjoyed. I enjoyed learning Polish and learning more about Polish heritage, my Polish heritage and culture. I mean, the Irish side of my family ever taught me about was, things like liquor. I didn't learn very much from the Irish side of my family, except, how to make a good martini, which whiskey goes the best with scrambled eggs in the morning. That's what I learned from my Irish side. Do I know any Polish? Yeah, I still remember a lot of Polish, but at some point my father decided that we didn't have to take Polish lessons anymore or do the Polish dancing, which I remember at that time. I might have been like 10 or 11 when he finally said we didn't have to do that anymore unless we wanted to. And I was like, I'm out. Yeah. But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change. I guess I would change like getting mocked by other children for being in a weird Polish outfit and dancing in a Memorial Day parade through the whole neighborhood. That wasn't real good for your social life, right? Scrub J. Yeah. Pierogies are still my favorite. I still love pierogies. Why do Americans always have to be some other nationality when they are other than where they are born? Well, I guess it's just a connection to your roots. My roots are in Poland and in Ireland. So therefore, you still hearken back to where you came from. Nobody really came from the United States except for Native Americans who got a raw deal because we stole the whole country from them, right? The Irish, there you go, me too. The Irish side of my family taught me all about alcoholism and despair, says Redcap Goblin, right? Good friend Brett Clark is here. Welcome. Says, good buddy of mine was an engine builder and was a Summit team racing lead. He's Polish and was going to start a stand where you can eat Pat's Polish sausage. I'd go. In fact, once in a while, there's some kind of Polish event near me, and I go just for the food because, Gołąbkis and Kiszczyki and, of course, Polish kibasi. I say kibasi. People say kielbasa. Okay. And potato pancakes and the Polish food is incredible. Do I know any good Polak jokes? Trolly troll troll. Well, since you're a member, I'll try to. My favorite Polish joke is this one, and I've heard it 1,000 times. So many times when people hear that I'm half Polish, they tell me this joke. Did you hear about the Polak that died raking leaves? Trolly troll troll. Did you hear about the Polak that died raking leaves? He fell out of a tree. So there you go. A lot of people don't know, but the Polish stereotype of being stupid came from them being simple farm people when they came here. America is so young, there's no real historic journey. Yeah, and meanwhile, Paul Galvin, if you go to Europe, there's buildings over in Europe that are thousands of years old. They have a rich history and culture. So I guess people draw from that, right? Brett Clark says, we have a Yakut ancestry. Yeah, go Siberia. Oh, well, at least you got out of there, right? I talk to Polish-speaking people almost every day here in Chicago, says Chicago 420. Well, somehow we got off on the Polish tangent. Yeah, Polskis are great people. Most Polish people I know are good people, good, hardworking, proud people. I would thank them for their sausage. It's delicious. What's not to like? My local church is 700 years older than the USA. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think that people always like to identify a little more deeply what they are. To say I'm an American doesn't really say very much. And historically, in the United States, groups stuck together. Like I said, I grew up in the Polish area of Port Richmond in Philadelphia. It was largely Polish people, Polish-speaking people, Polish cultural, the church was Polish priests and Polish nuns. And we had Polish lessons on the weekends and Polish culture events. And I mean, there was other people other than Polish people, but it was largely populated by Polish people. Now it's much more of a mix. Brett Clark says one of the best producers I worked with was Polish as well. Well, that's interesting. So, friends, we've done our due diligence. I'm going to bounce on out of here before we hit 3 hours. I'm trying to start to go back to keeping the shows to 2 hours. And we almost made it. Not quite. Yeah, what can I say? We get to talking here and things just keep going, and usually I like that because the longer streams with everybody jumping in and out, it's a good thing. If people are still here and willing to listen, I will still, get on my soapbox, but it's about time that I got off for today. We have done our due diligence for today, but don't worry, friends. I will be back, and we have another show tomorrow evening. I'm going to say tomorrow. It's still before midnight. So tomorrow is 9/19, and already fall is in full swing. It won't be long before the pumpkin everything. Or is it already pumpkin season? All you white girls with the pumpkin lattes and the pumpkin spice on everything. Not a big fan of the pumpkin stuff. I once had a pumpkin milkshake that was delicious, though. So we will be back here tomorrow evening, and I hope that you will be with us. Our next show is tomorrow night, 9/19 at 9 p.m. Eastern. Please join us in the live chat. Hope to see you at our next live show. And I wouldn't be a good YouTuber if I didn't remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos on your social media. And one other thing that will really help, I'm told by a YouTube expert, is if you come back, maybe not tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, whenever you have time, come back and watch another of these shows in our live show section. For some reason, if YouTube sees somebody came to a live show and then they come back and watch another live show, they turn up the recommends. Apparently, they think that means we're making good content. I think we do our best to make good content, and we'd appreciate your help with that. So maybe tomorrow, while you're going about your daily business, while you're at work, while you're at school, while you're cleaning, while you're doing whatever it is you do, you people, watch another show. It may help. And we appreciate all you new viewers. I have to say, we passed the 9,000 subscriber mark. And by the way, I'm very proud of our numbers here until I see the grifter numbers, and then I get upset. Because did you know that there are people that started their shows after? Wow, that's weird. I got blurry like Bigfoot. There are people that's, I have to learn to not compare myself to anybody else, but I can't help it. I just noticed there are people that started their shows after me, a little bit after me, maybe a couple months after me, but still, they doubled us, tripled us, lapped us 5 times in subscribers. But those people are selling lies and fake stories. Those people are part of the problem. we here like to consider ourselves part of the solution. So I can't, there's not many skeptical shows on these topics. And I can't really compare myself to the people that are sellouts and willing to, dance around the fact that these alien mummies were made out of, mutilated, desecrated, grave robbed human corpses. That's what those people are willing to do. We're not doing that here. We're on a serious search for the truth behind these strange and esoteric topics, and I hope we will always be. But it does depress me when I see that somebody's like, oh, they have 5 times the subscribers that we do, and they started after us. Awesome. But, they got there by cheating and lying and being willing to, literally these people are co-signing an alien hoax that was created by people robbing body parts, mutilating corpses, desecrating corpses. And by the way, it's pretty clear now that what they did was illegal, because in Peru, it's illegal to steal body parts. It's illegal to steal bodies from grave sites. It's illegal to transport them out of the country. It's illegal to desecrate or abuse a human corpse for profit. So those people will have to answer. Someday I'm going to have to answer to my maker. And I don't want to have to explain why I spent years of my life like some of these people spend decades of their lives lying to people or helping people lie to their audiences. We're not going to do that here. We're going to try to do it. It's like breaking both my legs, though, and expecting me to run a marathon. I got off on a tangent. Sorry. I just wanted to welcome the new subscribers. We see quite an uptick of new subscribers. We're something like 200 new subscribers in the past 30 days. And that is excellent. We want to welcome all of you new friends and tell you, hit that search bar. And by the way, you have to do it on a desktop. There's no search bar on the phone, but if you're on a desktop PC and you come to our YouTube channel, just hit that little magnifying glass, put in any subject you're interested in. We may have covered it before. Any character from Conspiracy Land, we may have covered them. There's plenty of material here for all of you, and I consider it a privilege and an honor to be making this for all of you. This is started as a personal journey, and it became a journey with friends. And I just want to thank you all for being here. So we've done our due diligence. I'm going to bounce on out of here, friends. But like I said, I'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Hope that you will be here with us. If you're new here, we play out all the nice good night messages as the end of the show bumper plays. So get those ready. I'll be back tomorrow night, friends. So that's all I got for you for tonight. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.